Are you really ready to fuel your success as an investor in your personal mindset and being part of a community that wants every person to succeed? Welcome to the Thriving Investor Podcast with author, educator, successful non-traditional investor, Troy Fullwood. Turn up the volume and let's get you set up to thrive.
All right, well, welcome back, everybody, to the Thriving Investor Show. Today, we have my great friend and business associate, Mr. Larry Goins. And Larry and I have known each other for, goodness gracious, at least 20 years. One of the first deals he ever sold in the note space, he sold it to me, and I had the opportunity of meeting him back then, and we've been able to maintain a great friendship and great business relationship over that 20-year cycle, and oftentimes find ourselves at the same events talking with people about what he does and what I do. Larry's been investing in real estate for over 30 years. Previously served as president of the Metrolina Real Estate Investors Association in Charlotte, North Carolina. Got friends and family there as well. A not-for-profit organization with 350 members. Larry's active real estate investor and travels throughout the U.S. speaking and training audiences at conventions, expos, and real estate investment associations on his strategies for buying and selling houses. On a personal note, Larry and his beautiful wife, Pam, have two children, Linda and Noah. There's also granddaughter, Ember, and grandson, Keegan. They are members of the New River Community Church at Lake Wiley, South Carolina. As a husband, father, businessman, and real estate investor, Larry holds true to his core values and moral integrity and loves playing the guitar. So I gotta put that in there.
Yeah, man. Let me show you something right here. You get a kick out of this. I'm in my office right now, right?
Yeah.
Look at this guitar.
Oh, why does that look familiar? That's awesome.
I actually designed that. I have a patent on it. Check this out. This is a picture of me playing on stage with Gene Simmons and Lita Ford.
Yes. I love it. Oh, my goodness.
There's my library. That's part of it. Right? That's funny, huh?
So you're a smart rock and roller. Is that what we're saying?
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, I'm really afraid what might have happened if I was able to live the dream as a rock star. You know, I might not, I might not have made it.
Or you might have made it, but it would have been a much rougher journey, I guess.
Well, you know what the difference is between what the difference is between a guitar player and a large pizza, right?
No.
A large pizza can actually feed a family of 4.
Oh, my goodness. I love it. That's great. Larry, one of the things that you and I have done for years is every time we get together, we have these brainstorming, brain dumping, strategizing, sharing of ideas, conversations. And it's amazing because we never seem to plan it, but we always seem to kind of land in, 2 to 3 times a year in the same hotel room or the same environment. And we get
not hotel room, hotel.
Hotel. There you go. Thank you. I was thinking meeting ballroom. You're right. Hotel. Very key detail.
Just to clarify.
Who came to mind? John came to mind when you clarified. Another good friend of ours. But we have these crazy good conversations, and then obviously we go back to our home states and get involved in business, and sometimes we have a chance to put those things in motion. And I know that you're doing amazing things there in Lake Wiley, and not only there, but just around the country. Can you bring my listeners up to speed on what your sweet spot is right now? We were just talking about this off the record or in the green room there, and I think it's what you're doing is just exciting and powerful, with your business.
Yeah, well, I've been investing over 30 years. And Troy, you mentioned whenever you first introduced me that you and I met by doing business
Yeah.
20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many people have you interviewed on your show where you can really say, I've been doing business with this person for 20 years?
Not many. Not many. It's rare because this industry can be really transient. Our industry can be somewhat transient, and so to see somebody that's been around as long as you have, as long as I have, we have staying power. We have that. We've been around for obviously good reasons.
Well, you know what, Troy? You know this. I know this. Real estate is cyclical, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody thinks, oh, there's going to be a crash. Of course there's going to be a crash. It happens. Trees don't grow to the sky, right? It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. You've got to have what's called a fire hose, or not a fire hose, a fire alarm, right? Mm-hmm. When you realize what's going on, you've got to have a fire alarm. Like, for example, I'm known as the HUD guy. I wrote a book called HUD Homes Half Off, How to Buy HUD Houses for Pennies on the Dollar. We might give away one at the end of the show. But this book teaches how to buy HUD houses for pennies on the dollar. But you and I both know there's not near as many HUD houses as there used to be, right? Yeah. Now, we still buy HUD houses. Sure. It's just we have to go wide instead of going deep in one market, right? Yeah. We're buying HUD houses, but we're buying them in multiple states now instead of multiple cities, right? So, I did my very first deal in 1986. It was an FHA non-qualifying assumable loan. I took over the loan. I rented the house out for about 2 years. Mm-hmm. Then I sold that deal and did a wraparound loan, and then I sold that note off, right? Mm-hmm. So that was my very first deal. I mean, imagine doing that kind of deal as your first deal, right? So that was my very first deal back in 1986. And I've done wholesaling, rehabbing, lease options, short sales, subject tos, mm-hmm. commercial, residential, multifamily. Mm-hmm. I've owned Dollar Generals, Shoney's restaurants. Where you and I first did some business was I bought a subdivision mm-hmm. in Gaffney, South Carolina, mm-hmm. and it was an old subdivision that never was completed. I went in, everything was plotted out. I went in and finished out the road, cleared, graded, graveled, and paved, and mm-hmm. then I built houses on the lots, and then I sold those houses with owner financing, and I sold you the notes. Yep. That's how you and I first got started together, doing business together. So I've really made kind of a full circle, uh-huh. and I love real estate. There's only 3 things I hate about real estate.
Okay.
I hate tenants, uh-huh. I hate rehabs, uh-huh. and I hate short sales. Those are the 3 things that I hate. Outside of that, I love real estate. What I do right now uh-huh. is, I've coached and mentored many people and still do some of that. Uh-huh. But I love real estate. I love chasing the deal. I love negotiating the deal. I love being on the phone. Uh-huh. It's kind of funny. I record all my phone calls, right? They're automatically recorded. I'm playing this little game with myself. Uh-huh. How many minutes does it take me to buy a house over the phone when I've never talked to that person before in my life? and I'm down to 10 minutes and 38 seconds, right?
Nice.
Introduce myself. Hey, how are you doing? All the way through, who am I? What do I do? Building trust, get them to like me and trust me. And I've literally bought houses in 10 minutes over the phone.
Nice.
Right? Is that cool or what?
That is cool, but I love your spirit about it because you're like constantly sharpening yourself. I love that part because you can lay back and just be like, okay, I'll get a deal and go from there. But you're like, no, I'm going to make this a contest. Me against me.
Right.
And that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur. That is the spirit of an entrepreneur. It's me against me at the end of the day.
Right.
So, I love that. That's great.
That's awesome.
So, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, man, I love it. Things are always evolving. Right now we're doing a lot of wholesaling. Because one of the things that I'm teaching and preaching now is right now you need to be stashing cash for the crash, right? Yeah. Stash cash for the crash, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm still seller financing deals.
Sure.
I'm still lease optioning properties, but those are in my retirement accounts where I'm not building cash right now. I'm building cash flow and wealth in those, right?
Right.
But right now, what I'm trying to do is stash cash for the crash, because right now I might be paying $50,000 for a house where in about 2.5 years, I'll be able to buy that same house for $25,000 or $30,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Did you hear I said in about 2 to 2.5 years?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it is. All the experts are coming out and they're saying about 2021, 2022. That's kind of where they're at. 2020, 2000. You kind of hear different ones, but yeah, 2.5 years. Yeah,
that's right.
Absolutely.
Man, I so want to take this call. I got a lead coming in right now. A lead call coming in right now on my phone. I'm like, I'm missing a house.
Ants in your pants. Ants in your pants. I get it. I get it.
Right?
You're like me. I'm like sitting here looking around like, okay, we got 10,000 things going on at any given time. So, Larry, I love your spirit about stashing cash for the crash. And one of the things that was interesting about the last crash was the people that understood it in advance and had done just that, obviously, had the biggest opportunities. And because it's funny thing, because when the crash happens, the cash kind of dries up a little bit. In other words, it doesn't flow as freely as it is right now.
Right.
And there are people literally throwing money out the window right now, literally like, hey, we're lending money. Here's money. Buy.
Right.
And people, there's a lot of what I call student experts out there that are riding the wave. But the thing that I love about interviewing people like you and me and other veterans in the industry is we've been through these ebbs and flows.
Right.
And we freely share the information like, hey guys, follow me. This is what I'm doing, stashing cash for the crash. And somebody out there listening like, well, that doesn't sound very sexy. I want to be in the game. I want to be right there. And that's okay. That's another way of doing it. But if you really want to get the big paydays, which I did in the downturn, you did in the downturn, that's what we did in advance.
Right.
And so we were able to do a lot of amazing things. When you're doing wholesaling and you talked about doing it more wide than deeper, what kind of things are you doing to tap into other markets? Are you doing it through phone calls? Are you doing it through your website? What kind of things are you doing to reach out to those other markets?
Well, first of all, I just want to respond to that. Stash cash for the crash is sexy, okay?
I think it's sexy too, but
I made it up. Come on, it's got to be. I mean, really, in business, what can be more sexy than answering the phone? 10 minutes later, you got a contract to buy a house you're going to make 10 or 20 grand on.
Sure.
Within an hour, I have somebody at their house signing the contract. And then within another hour, it's emailed to me digitally. And then we send somebody else out to the house to take pictures and put out signs. And within probably 10 or 15 days, the house is sold. And we're going to get a payday of $10,000 to $15,000 typically.
Nice.
What can be more sexy than that? I mean, I love that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think my lack of sexiness is like most people, when they get cash, they want to go spend it.
Yeah, no. Like, you can't spend it all, man. You got to save. You got to stash some for the crash.
Absolutely. No, that's where the bigger payday.
I forget what the question was now. I'm sorry. I got off on a tangent.
If I remember, let me think back. Okay, so when you're doing other markets, like you mentioned, going wider versus deeper.
Right.
And first I want to comment to that, because people like you and me, we're constantly reinventing ourselves by reinventing the market.
Right.
So we're looking at the market saying, okay, this used to produce this kind of result, and it still does, but now it's producing a little less of a result. And entrepreneurs, veteran entrepreneurs, we're always looking to compete against ourselves. In other words, we want to get better at it. We want to build, we want to maintain things, we want to grow things. And so when the market shifts and it changes, because it does that automatically, and we can't stop that from happening, we have to adapt and evolve. And so you mentioned going wider versus deeper. How is it that you're reaching out to these wider markets? What's your
Good. That's a great question. So it's really based on the source of properties. For example, I mentioned HUD earlier. You know, I love HUD houses. I bought a ton of HUD houses. We got one just about a month or two ago. It was listed for $262,000, and we got it for $133,000. Right?
Wow.
That's 50%. Right?
Yeah, that's
50%. Now, you know, I'm not naive enough to think, you know, oh my gosh, there's 50 houses for sale in the whole state. You know, I'm going to be able to get 5 a month. No, you can't, right? Or 5 a month in my own city. No, if you want to stay in a geographic area, like I'm in the Charlotte, North Carolina MSA, Metropolitan Statistical Area. If I wanted to only buy Charlotte, right, I'm going to have to do direct mail, Facebook, pay-per-click, bandit signs, bird dogs, Craigslist, cold calling, virtual assistants, you know, and everything else out there, right? But if, let's say I only wanted to do maybe HUD and MLS, I could expand out into multiple states, right?
Yeah.
And I could do it all virtually and do nothing but HUD, and it's all done on a computer, right?
Nice.
But I love negotiating. I love being on the phone, and I love negotiating those deals, getting the offers accepted, creating win-win scenarios. And you know what? Every time the phone rings, I'm like, this could be the biggest deal I've ever done. Hello, this is Larry. How can I help you? Right? You never, ever know. I had a guy 2 weeks ago, Troy. This will blow you away. Guy calls from our direct mail. We mail out these postcards like this right here, right?
Okay.
See that postcard? That's our postcard we mail out. So we mail out these postcards, and we mail out quite a few of them. A guy calls in from California.
Wow.
He said, I got a house. Now, that's an absentee owner, right? An out-of-state owner, actually. He says, I've got a house, and it's rented out for $300 a month. And he said, my nephew is collecting the rent, and I just let him keep the rent money just because he manages the property. So this guy hadn't seen a penny from that house in years, right?
Oh, wow.
And he said, you know, I saw your postcard. I've been trying to figure out what to do with this house. I just don't want it anymore. Here's the address. If you want it, you can have it. Like,
Nice.
what? So he gave me the address, and I'm pulling it up, and I said, Mr. Williams, I said, I'm not going to take your house. I said, let me pull up here and let me see what I can give you for it. And it's only rented out for $300 a month. Here's some other comps that have sold for 10, 15, 20, 25. I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you $10,000 for it. He said, okay. I mean, how was he going to say no? He tried to give it to me to begin with.
Sure. Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I already have it sold for 20. So that's a quick $10,000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And let me tell you how I sold it. We went out to look at the house, right? And at the end of the street is another house for sale by owner that had been remodeled. Okay. And we called about it, and the guy's wanting $79,900 for that house. And all we did was tell him, how would you like another house up the street for $20,000? Right?
Bingo.
Yeah, so he's buying it too.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, what I love about that story, not only did you operate with a high level of integrity and honesty to the deal, but it shows that there are so many people out there. There are people out there that are just at a point where they're just done. You know, they're just done with the situation. And you see this a lot, especially with people that have owned homes for a long period of time.
Right.
Like, you know, I was having lunch last week with a dear friend of mine who has 38 rental properties. He turned 70 this year. Now, mind you, he's been in real estate for 40 years.
Right.
He owned a very large title company in Arizona and sold it at the peak of the market, did very well. Then he bought a bunch of houses when the market went down. And he's kind of because he's in his 60s, he likes being active and he loves real estate like you and I do. And so he's always out kind of doing the rental thing and all this. But he says to me the other day at lunch, he says, I think I'm done. I said, well, what do you mean by being done? You know, and he says, I think, you know, I'm turning 70 this year. And mind you, him and his wife travel probably 6 months out of the year as it is right now.
Right.
On week to 10-day type vacations. And he says, I think I'm going to sell these houses on seller financing, going to convert them to notes and then just put them with a servicer. And because he wants to save them for his estate and stuff. And so he's kind of gotten to that point. And I said, well, what kind of terms are you looking at? And so we started talking about terms. And he was like literally giving some of these houses away to other investors that he's known and done business with for like 30 years. But I share that with you and with everybody out there because it mimics what you just shared. People get to a point where they're just done. There's no, they're just like, okay, this served its purpose. It's run its course. I've gotten what I wanted out of it.
Right.
It's time to move on. And they do that. And that even applies to real estate. So that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Well, life has seasons. We all go through seasons, right?
Yeah.
And the older we get, now the reason he's wanting to convert those to seller financing is because he loves real estate.
Sure.
He doesn't want to give up real estate.
Right.
He knows if he converts it to cash, he's not going to get the 1% return in the bank.
Right.
But he's wanting to travel 6 months out of the year. So if he converts it to a note, right, he can put it with a servicer and it's mailbox money. Yeah. Otherwise, he's got to have a handyman or a property manager. He's got to deal with tenants, trash, termites, and toilets.
Yes.
All that stuff. But if he converts it to a note, he's still involved in the real estate game. He's still active. He's got a portfolio. But it's mailbox money now, and it's not a headache.
Absolutely. Those are all the reasons he's doing it. Absolutely, right. To a T. He's tired of the tenants and toilets. Although he's got a great couple of handymen and a great little manager that kind of does it part-time, he's been kind of treating it like a hobby. And he says, I do real estate because I suck at golf. And
I love it. I love it.
So, but no, you're absolutely right. You're 100% right. And it's interesting because I've seen that scenario play out a lot throughout my career. And you probably have seen it play out as well on different levels. And I remember when I first got involved in notes and stuff like that, I'll tell you, my dad had a chance to buy a bunch of notes back in the 1970s and stuff. And he didn't do it because he didn't know anything about it, but his agent collected all these notes. And I was like, Dad, you realize we could have been rich, right? But it was one of those things that opportunity comes and goes. But so back to this, so we talked about your current focus being the wholesaling side of it and doing it nationwide and, being able to get documents signed in a single day. What's the most creative deal that you've ever done?
Oh, wow. The most creative deal I've ever done.
Yeah. Or the most recent creative deal that you've ever done even would work.
Well, I did a deal not too long ago where I wholesaled a house. A guy came to the RIA meeting, which I urge everybody, you should always go to your local RIA meeting. Guy came to the RIA meeting and came up and said, do you buy luxury homes? Well, it depends. Tell me what you got. He said, well, I got a house that was listed for $1.8 million. He said, but it had some fire damage. The family went out of town and it caught fire in the media room. And it's 8,800 square feet on the golf course in Valentine Country Club. And he said, the guy he's a wealthy business owner and he's already moved across the street to a vacant house that was for rent or for sale. I think he said he just paid them to rent it for a while. And he's already building another house, right? and he just wants to sell it. He's getting ready to get about $1 million for insurance, right? So, he just wants to sell it and he'll take, $750,000 for it. So we wrote up a contract, $750,000, and we put it on Zillow and Craigslist.
Okay.
And we put up a $500 deposit. And we assigned that contract at the close for $795,000. We made $45,000, in less than 30 days
Nice.
as a wholesale deal, right? And all we had at risk was $500. I just wish I would have thought about it. If I would have been more involved in the deal, it was my team that was doing it. If I would have been more involved in the deal, I would have put it in my IRA, right?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been a nice chunk.
But I've done that. I've done deals where we create notes to be able to sell a partial. I mean, you've done a lot of this. We'll sell a partial, and then as a note buyer, you like buying partials better than you do full notes anyway, right?
Sure. Absolutely.
So we'll sell a partial and then keep the tail in our retirement account, do the deal in our retirement account, sell a partial, and you can get enough money to get some up front and get your money back.
Sure.
And then you have the tail end of the deal. And then if the person defaults, you just, you get the deal back, or you handle it, or put somebody else in there, or whatever. But, I've done those kind of deals. I've done fix and flips. I've bought Shoney's restaurants. I'm not a big fan of Shoney's. I bought a Shoney's restaurant one time where I bought it to really resell it, because I bought it at a really good cap rate, and then I was selling it at a little higher cap rate, or a little lower cap rate, I should say. And then what I did was, right before closing, I got a letter from a professional lease negotiator, right, advising me that Shoney's is in financial trouble and they're renegotiating all their leases, and they can either move out or renegotiate the lease. So I'm getting ready to make 75 grand on this deal.
Sure.
But after it all ended, I lost 75 grand on the deal.
Oh, wow.
But the most important part to me was I was able to pay off an $800,000 loan. So I elected to show my buyer, here's the letter. My buyer's like, I don't care. They've got a lease with me. I don't care. But I'll still buy the deal, but you're going to have to give me a $150,000 discount. So I gave the guy a $150,000 discount, and we went and closed. And I tell you that story to let you know. And I also lost $75,000 on a rehab one time, right? We did a rehab one time where 2 days before the open house, it's in the middle of winter, and I get a call from a neighbor that says, I don't know what's going on over at your house, but all the windows are fogged up and there's water running out the front door. Oops. Right? That can't be good, right? So a very valuable lesson I learned, insurance companies will not pay a claim for pipes freezing if the water is on but the heat is not, right? And what am I going to do? Go to my contractor? The only thing my contractor has is a $50,000 truck that he owes $55,000 on, right? That's the only thing he owns other than a few tools. Right. So that cost me another 75 grand to pay out of my pocket to get the house back to where it was. And it was a pipe that froze on the second floor. So imagine that, if water's running out the front door, right? So let me back up I tell you these stories to let you know, to let everybody watching know, if you do enough deals, you will lose money on real estate. And I'm sure, Troy, you'll verify that as well, right?
Absolutely. We had an NPL, non-performing loan deal out of Philadelphia that was very much like you just described. We had bought the note, the house was vacant, it wasn't winterized, and about 2 months later, we had an inspector go by, and in the basement of the home, we had an ice skating rink. It was the water only stopped flowing because it got so cold that it froze the flow, but we had an ice skating rink. So
wow,
not a moneymaker.
That's crazy. That's crazy. We did a bus tour one time for a house, and in the laundry room was some kind of like a trap door or something to get to the basement, and there were steps that go down. I opened it up, and all you could see were 2 steps and water. That's all you could see. 2 steps and water, right?
Indoor pool.
Yeah, so I'm playing it off. I'm like, and here's your indoor pool.
Not part of the original design, but it is part of today's design.
Right, exactly.
But you're so right. I mean, if you're going to be in real estate, and we'd all love to sit here and say, we're perfect and everything we do turns to gold, and and that would be a lie, number one. But the beauty why we stay in it and why we're in our spaces is because, one, we love doing what we do, but we win more than we lose.
Right.
But we do lose. And
right.
I bought a note out of Michigan, and I didn't have the note 4 months. We'd done the title work, done all those things we normally do. It was an NPL.
Right.
Reaching out to the homeowner and getting back on track. And then the homeowner disappeared, and all of a sudden there was like a $52,000 lien from the city. Well, the house was only worth $30,000. I only paid $4 for the thing, and I'm like, "Where does this come from?" And after 60 days of trying to figure out why the city did this, nobody could give us an answer. And they went through with foreclosure on the deal. They foreclosed from a city lien position on it, and there was not much. It was a $4,000 investment, and I wasn't going to go spend $10 to protect $4.
No.
And so it's like, okay, this will make for a great case study, because it wasn't even the people we bought it from. It wasn't even their fault, because it didn't even show up on title anywhere. It wasn't anywhere in the records when we bought it.
And Troy, it's much tougher in your business to do your due diligence, because when you buy a note, you're buying the note and all the documentation in that note. I bought a note one time because I bought a note from a lender one time, and it was a bank, a regular bank, but the heirs the people were deceased, right? Yeah. So I bought the note, and I had to contact all the heirs. Well, come to find out, the house was on 4 separate parcels, 4 different legal descriptions, right?
Wow. Okay.
The problem was the note or the mortgage only encumbered 3 of those. So basically, I bought 3 bedrooms and a kitchen, okay? Basically, I didn't get the living room or the garage, right? So I had to go back. All these heirs, not to mention I had to get them to agree to sell this to me or whatever, because I didn't want to have to go through foreclosure and all that. So I was giving them all $1,000 each, but I had to then ask them to sign this deeding over the portion that they owned free and clear to me as well, right? So I could get the other portion of those 4 lots that the house was on, right?
Details. But you're right. I mean, in the note space, we're just buying the file. Like, this is what we buy. We buy a file. That's it. And that file has to correlate to what's 1,000 miles away from us or 500 miles away, whatever it may be. That's great. That's good insight. I know a couple been here for about a half hour, a little bit over a half hour or so. One of the things I love to ask is, question like, where were you 5 years ago, and where do you picture yourself being 5 years from now?
Well, that's a great question. 5 years ago, I was really trying to build a machine. I was trying to build a huge real estate business and a huge education business. I mean, and we see each other out on the road, and I mean, we're both speaking, teaching, training, educating, coaching, mentoring. And, at one time I had 26 employees, right? I have 9 employees now. And I'm on the phone myself doing deals. I love it. It's not a grind to me. Now, if I had to be on the phone 8 hours a day, right, it would be different. But I love being on the phone. I love negotiating deals. When we hang up from this, I've got 3 contracts I'm sitting out that I just got offers accepted on. So,
nice.
And I wouldn't normally be doing that, but Candace, who works with me, she took a weekend trip to go out of town with her family. So, but I love it. But I have realized that I don't need this huge operation, right? I
Mm-hmm.
just want to do what I enjoy doing. I want to do some deals in my ESA, HSA, IRA, and 401k,
Mm-hmm.
and then I want to do some other deals and stash some cash for the crash. So, in 2 or 3 years, I'll be picking up properties for, probably half or 60% or whatever of what they are going for now. And the
Mm-hmm.
cash flows will be that much higher.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it took me a long time to realize this, but I had always thought about my business vision. But just in the past, probably few months, I've been thinking more about my personal vision and
Okay.
what I want to do. And I love to play guitar, as you know, and
Mm-hmm.
and I like riding my Harley.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to spend more time doing that and spending more time with my kids. And I got 2 grandkids now, as you mentioned.
That's
And
awesome.
like last night at 9:30, my son and I built a workshop out behind my house, and I'm pretty handy, Troy. You know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I built it myself. It's like 16 by 24. It's got a porch on the front of it. I mean, before my mom passed away, she's like, I could move into that, but it's pretty good size, and I got work benches all around it and all the tools and stuff. My son and I, who is 14, he's got Asperger's, but
Uh-huh.
he's very, very academic and he loves science.
Okay.
So he and I were down in the workshop. We were melting bismuth, making crystals last night at 9:30. So that was pretty cool. That was a lot of fun, So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I enjoy stuff like that. He really likes the whole science part. You can melt this stuff down, and a lot of people don't know this, but bismuth is really radioactive, right?
Okay.
Not enough to hurt you, but it's radioactive. And it looks like lead, right?
Okay.
But you cut it up in chunks and you melt it down, put it in a bowl, a stainless bowl like this size, and then after you heat it up, then you take it off of the heat, and
Uh-huh.
then it starts to get solid. And
Uh-huh.
you pull that out and it makes crystals.
Oh,
It's
wow.
really, really cool. It's really cool. You could search online and see how to do that.
I definitely will, because one of the things that I love, and I think I can sense this in your voice and I'm watching your demeanor as you're describing it. It's like really a passion. It's like there's a love there, and we take all of these years that we've been working our asses off. We just be real blunt about it. Running around the country, spending time away from our family, the ones that we love, helping other people achieve what we've achieved. And then you get to a point where it's like, okay, I need to go back to home. I need to go back here.
Right.
For a couple of reasons. One, it's energizing for us, and number 2, it's what we said we really wanted at the end of the day. The money thing is just the money part of it, although it's important, it's just a measuring stick. But we kind of come to these realizations in life where, nobody's ever said on their deathbed, I wish I would have worked more hours. It's always, I wish I would have spent more time. And you're in that season of life, and you mentioned the word season, and so am I, where we love helping people. We love sharing advice and information because we've seen the impact and the power and how it's changed our lives, and we want to see it do the same thing to other people. But at the heart of our hearts is our family and our kids, and so to hear you share that story means a lot to me, and I appreciate you doing that because you have an amazing, beautiful family, and to hear, it sounds like your son's like, come on, Dad, let's do this. And you're like going into it and you're learning new stuff too. So that's exciting. That's exciting.
It is really cool. And Troy, it took me a long, long time to really figure that out and really get it. But what really hit home to me, one of our mutual friends told me one time, he said, Larry, you coach a lot of people, don't you? I said, yeah, I've got a lot of very successful students. He said, and how many hours a week are you working? I said, I don't know, probably 60. He said, so is that what you're teaching your students to do, is to create a life where they're working 60 hours a week?
Wow.
I'm like, whoa, a light bulb went off, right? I mean, not that I have to do that anymore,
Sure.
but it's you got to the first thing you got to do is create that personal vision.
Yeah.
Well, if money was irrelevant, what would I spend my time doing?
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And then you create a vision for your business that will fund that lifestyle that you would do if money didn't matter.
Right.
Now, there's a lot of people out there that say, if I had $1 million, I'd never work another day in my life. That's the reason that the good Lord sees to it that they never have $1 million, right?
Right. I've never heard it put that way, but I get it. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. Oh, man, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. It's powerful. I mean, having a relationship you and I have had for 20 years, and we've taken different paths, but our paths have been parallel in nature. They've crossed at times, and to see where you're at today, just congratulations on that. I mean,
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I really do. It's a journey. It's always a journey, and you always have to be growing. If you're not growing, you're dying, right?
Yeah.
There is no stagnant. You're either moving forward or reverse, right?
Absolutely.
There is no stagnant. I try to listen to, a book every week or so, right? I love Audible. You can listen to a book at 2 or 3 times speed.
Yeah.
I love it, and you got to be growing. You always got to be growing.
That was my gift last year. My wife says I'm a very hard person to buy for birthdays and Father's Days and Christmas and stuff like that. Because if I want something, I'll just typically go get it and be done with it type thing. And so last year she was like, "What do you want for Christmas? What do you want for Christmas?" And the year before, she had gotten me a monthly membership to a massage where I go get like monthly massages.
Right.
I do and I love. And then last year she said, "Give me Audible. Give me Audible." And so I've got all these books that I'm listening to at the gym and enjoying it and growing as well because it caters to my style.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
What book? What's a book that you're currently reading, or what's a favorite book that you've read in the last, say, 30 days or so?
Well, I read a lot of books at one time. Okay. One that I'm going through that I need to get back onto right now is the 1-year chronological Bible, right?
Okay.
It's not like based on books of the Bible. It's chronological, which is really cool. Which is really cool. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of a few right here. Never be lied to again. It's how to tell if somebody's lying to you by how they respond, right? Nice. Yeah, I love it. It's a great book. The One Thing by Gary Keller. The One Thing, Crucial Conversations, The 4 Disciplines of Execution, Profit First, The Millionaire Mindset, The Perfect Investment. There's just a ton of them out there. I love The Sale of a Lifetime by Harry Dent, right? That's a good book. I haven't started reading it yet. I hear it's a great book, so I just got it. What else? Man, I got a ton of them. Let's see. How to Make Big Money in Commercial Real Estate, Tax and Legal Playbook, Wheelbarrow Profits, The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes, The Way of the Wolf. That's by Jordan Belfort, right? Yeah. Wolf of Wall Street. The Way of the Wolf. It's about straight line selling. Nice. Sales Management Simplified. One of my favorite books of all time is Lessons from the Richest Man Who Ever Lived.
Okay.
It's by Stephen Scott, and it's all about the book of Proverbs. It's not a Christian book, but it's based on the teaching of Proverbs, right? Lessons from the Richest Man Who Ever Lived, right? The 5 Love Languages is a good book. 10X Rule, Purpose of Life. And then, of course, my books and your books, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Never Split the Difference is a great negotiating book, Troy. Never Split the Difference.
Never Split the Difference.
Michael something. Chris Voss is the one who wrote it. He is a hostage negotiator, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Essentialism, emotional intelligence, primal leadership, zero resistance selling, what got you here won't get you there, give and take. Just a ton of them.
Just a ton of.
I love it.
Here's a book that I'm reading that actually a couple of them. And then I've got these on audiobook, but I don't have my audiobook list in front of me. This one here is called The Road Back to You.
Oh, cool.
It's the Enneagram journey to self-discovery, but based on biblical formats. In other words, it says it's got a test in here. It's a free test, and you can take the test, and it's kind of like those various personality type tests. But this one here is all biblically based, and how God created each of us and our strengths. And so that's one that I've been enjoying on audiobook, and we're actually doing it at church on Sunday service.
That's cool. Our church did this thing recently where they let you take this spiritual gifts test.
Okay.
I haven't done it yet. My son and I are going to do it, and my wife, but we haven't done it yet. But they were talking about how to discover what your own spiritual gifts are, which I thought that was pretty cool. So we're going to take that test.
Is that? I think I've done that test before. I can't remember the book.
Yeah, there's a website that they send you to.
Yeah, it's there's another one that's really cool. I haven't read this one yet, but I bought it because I just love this guy's story. It's called You appreciate it. Life Lessons from Dad.
Oh, cool.
By Chip Franks. The guy's out of Austin, Texas, and he wrote 100. I think it's 100 life lessons for his children.
101.
101. Yeah. 101 type life. And he got the idea because he had, I believe, had a stroke or a heart attack. And he's like, I've left nothing to my children. So he sat down and started writing this book. And I bought it because I just thought it was a really cool gesture on his part.
That's really cool. That's like philosophies from Modern Family.
Absolutely. Well, I got two questions for you left. So the next one is, what ways do you enjoy giving back?
Well, we have a podcast radio show called Brag Radio.
Mm-hmm.
And Brag stands for Be Rich and Generous. We want to teach people how to invest in real estate and encourage them to go out and be generous.
Nice.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, we're always trying to highlight some kind of charity or cause. A few things we're doing right now. We just did a blood drive here at our office where we had Red Cross pull up in the parking lot. All of our employees, we promoted it throughout the town and everything. And people around town came in and gave blood and, was able to donate. Yeah, it was really cool. So we did that. And my son and I went down to The Rock recently. That's in Rock Hill, South Carolina. It stands for Renew Our Community. And they are a day, a day shelter for homeless people. So they don't provide overnight, but it's a day shelter. Every morning when they open up, there's people waiting at the door. So they have a warm, place to hang out. They provide meals, entertainment, counseling and stuff like that. And my son and I went down there for orientation a couple of weeks ago. And I said, do you guys happen to need any computers? They're like, oh my gosh, yeah, we need computers. I said, well, I have some extra computers. We're migrating from desktops to laptops. Okay. So could you use some desktops? Because I've got plenty of desktops with monitors and mouse and keyboards and stuff. So we're in the process of cleaning up all those computers, wiping them and everything, so we can take them over there and donate them. It's probably, 7 or 8 computers, something like that. So that'll be cool for the people to be able to, because, she told me, she said, this is some of the only ways that they are able to apply for jobs and to communicate with their families by email, right?
Yeah. A lot of job applications anymore are just online.
Yeah.
That's what the employer wants. And if you don't have that access or that, that's great. Congratulations.
That's exactly right. You're exactly right.
So How can our listeners get a hold of you? What's
Well,
how can they reach
probably
out?
the best way, if they'd like a free copy of my book,
Okay.
uh, couple of ways. They could go to freehudbook.com, freehudbook.com, or if they'd like, they could call toll free, and we'll send them like an investor's kit,
Okay.
which includes the HUD book, my real estate day trading book, buying and selling houses the same day using the internet, exactly what I described earlier, as well as some other audio and video. And they can do that by calling 877 Larry Go. 877 Larry Goins, right?
Easy.
There you go. And we'll get them on the list and get them an investor's kit. And we can get them taken care of that way.
No, I love it. I love it. One of the things that I've always admired about you, Larry, is you're a very giving and kind-hearted person, and that's definitely been a characteristic of our relationship for the last 20 years. And I love the fact that people like you who are in the industry, who have experienced success at many different levels. The core of it is still that wanting to give back at all levels, and so I really appreciate that about you, and appreciate our friendship and you spending time here today, because it's oftentimes people think because you're successful you are less giving or something along those lines, but I've learned that the more successful the people become, the more giving they become as well, because they understand the universal laws surrounding that, and you obviously apply that in all that you do. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. You got to stay hungry and stay humble, right?
Exactly. Hungry and humble.
That's so true. Jim Rohn used to say, and Jim Rohn was my favorite, author until I read Lessons from the Richest Man Who Ever Lived. And Stephen K. Scott is very similar. But Jim Rohn used to say, you need to start giving when the amounts are small, because it's a lot easier to flip a dime out of a dollar as a charitable contribution than it is to write a check for $100,000 out of $1 million, right? Yeah. So you should start giving when the amounts are small, and that way, as you grow, you will continue to give.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of truth. There's a ton of truth in that. And that's a biblical format as well. I mean,
exactly. Who gave the most? The lady who gave the least gave the most, because it represented more of what she had than anybody else.
Absolutely. And that's one of those things. One of the things that I love doing personally is I like very secretly, I'll stop by schools in our area or wherever I'm at.
Right.
I'll just go into the school and go to the lunch counter and ask the lunch lady, like, are there any accounts that are overdue or negative balances? And I'll pay up the accounts.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Yeah. And and maybe I heard it from you at one of the masterminds we were in. Maybe that's where I heard you talk about that, because you've been doing that for a while. Yeah. I was thinking about, I wonder if there's a way we could create a website where people could donate money and schools could say, here's how much we need, here's how much we need, here's how much we need.
Probably.
And then that could get doled out to different people. Wouldn't that be awesome?
It would be awesome. It's one of those things that, the reason I started doing it was a personal reason. Was one of my kids, this is years ago, his account ran out of money, and I didn't think about it. I didn't know about it. And so he went to go get lunch, and there was no money in his account. And so they gave him like a cheese sandwich.
Right.
And all the other kids were having pizza and stuff. Right. And so it became kind of an embarrassing situation. And I thought to myself, well, if that's happened to me, it's probably happening to other people. And it's not always an economic thing. Sometimes it's just busy in life type thing.
Right.
But giving is giving. And so I said, well, I didn't like the way that happened to him. I think it was a lesson, and he got to learn a lesson in a positive way, because he got to be on that side of the fence and not always be protected. So he learned something there. But then there are so many other kids that just economically it's not necessarily feasible for them and their family. And so for them to be able to be, one of the crowd and to be accepted, because, being in school can be tough, elementary school or junior high level or even high school level. It can be kind of tough. And so if I can do little things like that, if it costs me a couple $100, I don't care. I mean, the types of deals and opportunities that we have, it's
nothing.
It's nothing. So that's cool stuff. But that's what we do.
You're a good man.
Thank you.
You're a good man, Troy Fullwood.
So are you, Mr. Larry Goins. I appreciate it. So, well, buddy, man, thank you so much. I know we've spent probably more time. I know you got 3 contracts. Candace left you high and dry there. Let her know.
I know, right? Yeah. And I got a thing at my school's at my son's school that I got to go to here in just a little bit. So, I might have to take these contracts home.
No, Candace, I said hello. I hope she's doing awesome. I miss seeing her. Hopefully we get to see her soon. And thank you so much for pausing your day to do this. I know you got some phone calls to take and some contracts to get out. I hope they work out well for you. Thanks. And if there's anything I can help you with, please don't hesitate to call, my friend.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you so much for having me. And I hope everybody got a lot of good info out of it.
I'm sure they did.
Awesome.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Thank you for listening and being a part of the thriving investor community. Please share this podcast with a friend or a business associate that like you, is interested in learning from top mentors in the non-traditional investing, real estate, crypto, blockchain, buying debt, and so much more. Troy wants to give you a gift, so go to troyfullwood.com/book to get your free copy of Troy's latest book, The Power of Paper. Again, that's troyfullwood.com/book to get your free gift. Go check out the latest episodes and shows at the Thriving Investor community at thethriving investor.com.